The ballroom lights shimmered above like frozen stars. Beneath them, Marcus moved slowly, mop in hand, tracing wide, silent arcs across the marble floor. The echo of laughter drifted in from the other end of the hallway. Soft, expensive laughter, like music from a world he once belonged to but had long since forgotten. He kept his head down. Guests passed by without a glance, wrapped in satin, perfume, and plans. His faded uniform clung to him with the scent of bleach and time. Each step he took erased footprints no one remembered making. He paused at the window. Outside, dusk melted into gold across the lake. A violin hummed faintly through the walls, someone rehearsing for the evening's wedding. The melody pulled at something buried in him, something quiet and aching. He blinked it away. A pair of heels clicked behind him, sharp, commanding. "Hey," a voice said, brisk and rehearsed. "This broom yours?" Marcus turned, a wedding planner clipboard tucked under one arm. Bluetooth in ear, handed him the broom like it was a forgotten prop. "Stay clear of the bridal hall, okay? Bride doesn't want to see staff." He reached for the broom, but just before his fingers closed around it, he looked up and froze at the end of the hall in the reflection of the glass. A figure in white, hair pinned in soft curls, eyes wide, like the first time a child sees snowfall. She looked back, not past him, but through him. The planner kept talking, but her voice had turned to static. Marcus couldn't move, because in that one blurred moment, he thought he saw his daughter, wearing a wedding dress, and looking right at him. The locker room was silent, except for the soft clink of metal as Marcus opened his door. He moved like a man underwater, slow, disoriented, haunted. He sat on the bench and rested the broom against the wall. Then, from behind the stacked towels and an old thermos, he reached for a small tin box. The corners were worn smooth from years of touch. Inside, folded carefully between a yellowing slip of newspaper and a ribbon from a birthday cupcake, was a photograph. She was 8. Missing front teeth, a crooked braid, eyes that didn't match one, full of curiosity. The other full of questions she never got to ask. Marcus held the picture between both hands like it might shatter. His breath caught in his throat. "It couldn't be her," he whispered. "Not after all these years." He leaned back against the locker, memory dragging him under like a riptide. The sun had been warm that day. They'd found a broken swing in a field behind the courthouse, and she refused to leave until he pushed her. Her laughter echoed even now. "Faster, Daddy." He laughed too. "You're gonna fly away." She let go suddenly and tumbled into the grass, giggling. She ran to him, arms wide. "Promise you'll always find me." He crouched, hugged her tight. "I promise, little bird." A knock on the locker room door snapped the memory like glass. Back in the present, he stared at the photo. Same eyes, same dimple. He pressed the picture to his chest, and for the first time in years, he didn't feel the silence. Because if that bride was who he thought she was, then tonight wasn't just another wedding, it was the night he might finally find her. Marcus stared at the assignment sheet taped to the break room wall. Room 413 Bridal Suite, clean after prep. Access by 4:30 p.m. His pen hovered over it like it might burn him. He didn't move. The hum of the hotel buzzed around him, cartwheels on tile, distant music, someone shouting for extra towels. But all he heard was the echo of his heartbeat pounding behind his ears. Room 413. He'd cleaned that room dozens of times. But never on a wedding day. Never when it might mean. He clenched the pen tighter. "I can swap with Hector," he muttered aloud, though no one was listening. "No one'll care." But he didn't ask. He didn't swap. Instead, Marcus rolled the cart down the hallway himself, every step heavier than the last. The corridor to 413 stretched longer than he remembered. Lights flickered in pools above his head, casting long shadows across the walls. Curling iron steam, the soft hush of silk being zipped up, then a voice, young, uncertain, breaking a little. "I think I saw my father." Everything in Marcus went still. He pressed his palm to the cart to steady himself, eyes locked on the door like it might explode. The girl's voice again, quieter now. It couldn't have been right. Another voice responded, but he didn't hear it, because behind that door, someone was remembering him, and suddenly, all the years he'd spent fading into quiet corners collapsed into the weight of that single sentence. The lobby glowed golden in the late afternoon light. Chandeliers danced with soft movement above, and violins practiced behind closed doors. Marcus kept his head low as he wiped the glass doors near the entrance. Every stroke of the cloth was mechanical. His hands moved, but his thoughts spiraled elsewhere, circling one sentence. I think I saw my father. Behind him, footsteps, delicate, hesitant, he didn't turn, but the air changed. Excuse me, a soft voice said. He froze. He knew that voice, turning slowly. He saw her, the bride. Not in her gown now, just a simple white robe. Makeup half done, a single curl, falling loose from her clip. Her eyes locked on his, like magnets finding home. Long silence. Sorry, she said finally, stepping back. I thought, never mind, she gave a polite smile. One people wear when they're trying not to hope too loudly. I'm just looking for the florist, she added, though her voice betrayed her. Marcus nodded once. There in the garden suite, their eyes lingered for a breath too long. She turned to go, but just as she reached the hallway, her hand touched her friend's arm. That janitor, she whispered, he looks just like him. Her friend frowned. Like who? The bride looked back one last time. My father, Marcus, didn't flinch, but inside, the world tilted on its axis. Because in her voice, there wasn't just doubt, there was longing. The janitor's closet was barely wide enough for a man to sit, but Marcus sat there anyway. Knees pulled in, elbows resting on them. The tin box opened beside his boot. Inside it, folded with impossible care, were letters. 2 for every year since the courts had taken her. 1 for every birthday she'd spent without him. He picked one at random. Age 14. He unfolded it. The ink had smudged in one corner, maybe from rain, maybe from tears. Happy birthday, little bird. I heard violins today. Made me think of the song you used to hum when you were nervous. Remember how we'd make up lyrics about clouds and pancakes? I miss the way you used to scrunch your nose when something didn't make sense. I hope someone out there tells you how smart you are. And I hope even more that you still believe I love you. I always will. Dad. He folded it back carefully, like handling something sacred. That day still haunted him. The courtroom was cold, wood-paneled walls. A social worker with tired eyes. A foster family seated beside her, like replacements already waiting. Your living situation is unstable. The judge had said, she deserves better. His hand reached for his daughter, but they were already pulling her away. Daddy! Her scream still echoed when he closed his eyes. Now, back in the dim closet, he held the entire stack of unsent love in shaking hands. He had written to a ghost, and yet today, that ghost had looked at him. Maybe, just maybe, it wasn't too late. The bridal suite shimmered with ivory and laughter. Lace draped over chairs, perfume hung in the air, and champagne flutes clinked in celebration. But in the corner, stiff and silent, she stood in front of the mirror. The dress fit? It was perfect. Everyone said so. But it didn't feel like hers. I just need a second, she whispered, stepping behind the changing divider. No one argued. Inside the quiet space, her breath caught. Her fingers clenched the fabric at her waist. She could feel it now, that heavy emptiness that had been following her for weeks, months, years. Something is missing. She sat on the bench, hands shaking, trying to catch her breath. The curtain shifted. The stylist, older, gentle, peeked in. You all right, sweetheart? She nodded too quickly. Just nerves. The woman sat beside her. You know, the stylist said softly, my daughter cried on her wedding day too. Not from nerves, from something deeper, something she couldn't name. The bride looked at her. What was it? The woman smiled. Missing pieces. Some of us carry holes only one person can fill. The bride's voice cracked. Is it wrong to feel that on the happiest day of my life? No, the woman whispered. It's human. Tears slipped down the bride's cheeks. I don't even know who I'm missing, she confessed. But when I saw that janitor, I felt it, like a memory I never got to keep. The stylist nodded slowly. You talk like someone looking for a ghost. The bride blinked. And in the silence that followed, she didn't deny it. Marcus pushed the mop down the side hallway, careful to avoid the bridal suite now. He didn't need trouble, just silence, a clean floor, an invisible life. But silence doesn't last long in a place that prides itself on appearances. The hotel manager's shoes struck the marble floor with crisp authority. His voice followed, sharp and low. "Marcus." He stopped mid-dash, swipe. Double quotes, "Yes, sir." The manager stepped closer, lowering his voice but not his tone. "I saw you near the bridal area earlier. That's not your zone today." Marcus nodded. "I was just passing through." The manager folded his arms. The bride's family is from money, important people. They don't need staff staring at them like lost puppies. Marcus stiffened but said nothing. The manager leaned in. "Do your job. Clean. Don't linger. We're not here to be noticed." He walked off before waiting for a reply. Across the hall, elevator doors opened. The bride stepped out. She saw the manager walking away, then saw Marcus, mop in hand, eyes lowered, shoulders heavy. Their eyes met. He looked away first, but she didn't. She watched the whole thing. Watched how he didn't defend himself. Watched how the manager's words fell on a man used to swallowing them. A long breath left her chest. For the first time, she didn't look past him. She looked at him. A seed of recognition began to take root. The hallway to the east wing was quiet. Carpet softened every step. Sunset filtered through stained glass windows, painting the walls with gold and crimson. Marcus moved slowly, pushing the linen cart. His body knew the rhythm, but his heart wasn't in it. At the far end, she stood alone this time. No bridesmaids. No clipboard-wielding planners, just her. A white shawl draped over her shoulders. Eyes soft. Steps hesitant. He saw her too late to disappear. She walked straight toward him. "Excuse me," she said. He stopped, nodded once. "I don't mean to bother you," she began, voice trembling, "but I've been trying to find the courage to ask something." He stayed still, the cart between them like a shield. She glanced down, gathering herself. "I saw you yesterday," she said, "and I felt something." He didn't speak. Her voice dropped. I think you might be my father." Marcus didn't move, didn't breathe. Her eyes searched, his face like a map she'd studied 100 times in dreams. "I was taken from my dad. When I was 8, she continued. He used to call me Little Bird." His lips parted. She took a shaky step forward. "Do you remember me?" Silence. A long, breathless beat. Then a whisper. "I never forgot you." Her eyes filled with tears, and for the first time in her life, she didn't feel lost. She led him without speaking, down a quiet hall rarely used now. Marcus followed, unsure if he was dreaming, the carpet muffling each step, their shadows stretching behind them like memories trying to catch up. They stopped outside an old guest room, room 219. Faded brass numbers. The door hadn't been opened in months. She reached for the knob. It used to have blue wallpaper, with little clouds. Marcus blinked. "Sky room," he whispered. Her breath caught. "You remember?" He nodded once. They stepped inside. Dust floated in sunlight like snow. The wallpaper was peeling now, but the soft blue still lingered beneath the decay, like the memory had never left. "You'd sneak us in here after your shift," said it was where dreams waited. Marcus smiled faintly. "You used to jump on the bed until your socks flew off." A soft laugh escaped her lips, half joy, half ache. "I never knew why this room stayed with me," she whispered. Until now, she ran her fingers along the wall, like she was tracing a memory into the plaster. He stepped closer. "I came back here after they took you," she said. "I was 13. Snuck into the hotel lobby and just sat outside this door." She turned to him, eyes glistening. I waited. His hands trembled, but he reached out. "I'm here now," he said, "and I still call it the Sky Room." She smiled, the kind that grows from pain and possibility, both dot and in the quiet, cracked blue room. A father and daughter began to rebuild the sky. The Sky Room fell silent, no movement, just two hearts suspended in time. Marcus sat on the windowsill, staring into the past. She sat on the bed, knees drawn close, waiting not for answers, but for truth. He took a slow breath. "I wasn't always a janitor," he began, voice hoarse. "I used to play piano in this hotel. Lobby nights. Fancy dinners. They'd hand me tips with gold-inked menus." She didn't interrupt. "I brought you here after your mom left," he continued. "We'd sleep in staff rooms, no one used. I thought I could make it work. I thought love would be enough." He looked up, eyes glassed. "But love doesn't pay rent." She swallowed hard. Someone reported us, said. I was endangering you by living here. I wasn't. I promise you, I kept you warm. I fed you first, always. She nodded, silent tears trailing. They gave you to a foster home. Said I didn't have a stable address. Said you deserved better. He paused. They didn't ask if I loved you. They just measured how much I earned. She walked to him then, slowly, carefully, like stepping across glass. And you never stopped looking. He shook his head. Not once. She knelt in front of him, reached up, touched his face with both hands. They said, my father abandoned me. Marcus closed his eyes. They said I was too poor, he whispered, to be your father. But now, here she was, wrapped in truth and his hands. The main courtyard was alive with violin music and soft champagne laughter. Guests in sleek suits and jeweled gowns glided between hors d'oeuvre trays and rows CENTERPIECES. At the center, the groom's family stood like royalty. His mother wore pearls that shimmered like armor. His father spoke in clipped tones, every gesture rehearsed. The bride walked toward them, hands still trembling from the sky room. She smiled gently. I want to introduce someone, they turned. And behind her, Marcus, still in his janitor's uniform, still holding the same quiet dignity he always carried. The groom's mother blinked, confused. I'm sorry, she said, stepping closer. Is this a vendor issue? The bride's smile didn't falter. This is my father. The groom's mother froze. You're my real father, she clarified, voice unwavering. He worked here, raised me here, lost me here. Murmurs rippled through the surrounding guests. A few looked away. A few stared harder. The groom's father cleared his throat. Darling, now may not be the time. It's exactly the time, she interrupted. She looked at Marcus. He's not the janitor then. Louder. He's my father. Gasps. A flute shattered. Somewhere behind them, Marcus didn't speak. He didn't need to, because for the first time in 2 decades, his daughter had spoken for him, and she did it without shame. The ballroom had emptied. Only scattered flour. Petals and half-drunk glasses remained. The music had faded to silence, but a violin case sat in the corner. Unopened, she walked in alone. Marcus stood in the doorway. Unsure if he was allowed to step further, she turned toward him. Eyes glowing not with nerves, but with something deeper. I want to show you something, she said. Motioning to the center of the room from the case, she lifted a weather-worn violin, not the one she would use for the ceremony. This one was older, loved, scarred. I've played all over, she said, tightening the bow, competitions, orchestras. But this, ... She placed the instrument beneath her chin. This melody isn't from a music school. She began to play, soft at first, a tender hum that floated like breath. Marcus's eyes widened. He knew the tune. It was the lullaby, the one he made up while she fell, asleep in storage rooms, the one with nonsense words and made-up stars, the one he hummed through hunger and fear. You remembered, he whispered. She played on, eyes closed now, not just performing, but returning. I don't remember the words, she said softly when the final note fell. He stepped closer. You didn't need them, he replied. The music knew. She looked at him. You gave me my song. And in that silent, golden ballroom, Marcus wept not because he was sad, but because his daughter had carried his love across. Years of silence and turned it into music. They sat on the ballroom floor now. No tuxedos, no makeup, no roles left to play, just a father and his daughter. Between them, Marcus held a thick, worn envelope. He handed it to her with both hands. Careful, reverent. I wrote to you, he said. Every year? On your birthday? I didn't know where to send them, so I kept them. She opened the flap with trembling fingers. Inside letters, dozens, all labeled in his faded handwriting. To my little bird, age 9, age 10, age 11, ... She took one out gently, unfolded it, and began to read. Her lips parted as she absorbed the words. Her eyes shimmered with every line. You turned 12 today. I hope someone baked you a cake. I hope someone reminded you that you are still loved, even when it's quiet. I hope she stopped reading. Her hands shook, I thought. I thought no one wanted me, she whispered. That I was just ... left. Marcus's voice broke. I never left you. I just wasn't allowed to stay. She clutched the stack of letters to her chest. I always felt someone was out there, she said. Loving me? I didn't know who, but I felt it. She looked up at him, eyes full and soft. I knew someone was loving me. I just didn't know it was you. He reached for her hand, fingers calloused, trembling. You always knew, little bird. Your heart knew, and in that quiet moment between letter and tear, a lifetime of silence collapsed into one undeniable truth. She was never unloved, not even for a second. The ceremony was minutes away. Guests filled rows of ivory-lined chairs beneath a cascade of white roses and golden light. A hush had fallen over the room, the kind that arrives just before something sacred. The groom stood tall near the altar, nervous, proud. The front row gleamed with reserved signs and silk cushions, but one chair sat empty until now. She walked in slowly, gown flowing like a quiet river. She paused at the front, reached down, and removed the reserved card. Dad, she whispered, turning. Marcus stood by the entrance. Unsure if his shoes belonged on this carpet, her hand stretched toward him. Please, she said, sit with me, up front, where you've always belonged. A ripple moved through the crowd, hushed murmurs, confused glances. The groom's mother stiffened. Lips pursed like bitterness held in a crystal glass. But Marcus stepped forward. Every step a defiance of shame. He reached the front row and sat down, straight-backed, hands folded, heart wide open. Guests turned their eyes, but she never looked away from him. From the altar, the officiant smiled. Shall we begin? The music swelled. The groom's mother leaned toward her husband. Who is he? The man shrugged, but Marcus heard, and this time he smiled, because now they were all about to find out. The reception was warm with candlelight and clinking glasses. Music floated soft through the air, a piano melody that lingered like perfume. Couples filled the floor. Laughter echoed beneath twinkling lights. Then the DJ's voice cut gently through the air. And now, for the first dance. The bride stepped forward, her white dress catching the glow like moonlight on water. All eyes turned. The groom stepped toward her, but she raised her hand, stopping him. Not yet. She turned. Marcus stood near the edge of the room, beside a folding chair and a tray of empty glasses. Still in his janitor's uniform, still trying not to breathe too loudly, she walked toward him, soft, certain. Guests watched in confusion. I've waited my whole life, she said gently. For this dance, Marcus blinked. But I don't belong here. She reached for his hand. You're the only place I ever belonged. He hesitated, then placed his hand in hers. They stepped onto the floor. No steps rehearsed, just slow. Quiet movement, two hearts finally close enough to hear each other. The music shifted. It was the lullaby, not a recording. Live. A violinist playing from the corner, playing their song. She leaned her head to his shoulder. Told you I'd find you, she whispered. His grip tightened on, and they kept dancing. While the world watched in silence, and love rewrote the room. A month later, the door to room 219 creaked open once more. Only this time, it wasn't dust and silence waiting behind it. It was music, soft, shy notes. A child running fingers across an old, upright piano. Another tuning a borrowed violin. Their laughter danced in the light. The blue wallpaper had been restored, brighter now. Clouds hand-painted with soft brushstrokes, like memories made visible. In the corner, a plaque hung beneath a golden sconce. The sky room in honor of Marcus Hale. Marcus stood in the doorway, a mop in one hand, his eyes wide, glassy. He hadn't known she was doing this. Behind him, the bride, no, his daughter, stood with folded arms and a proud, teary smile. I thought this place gave me music, she said, but really, it gave me you. He stepped inside slowly. The children smiled, unafraid of the uniform or the broom. They made space for him near the piano. Play something, one boy asked. Marcus looked down at his calloused hands, then sat. Fingers hovered over the keys. Uncertain then, found a familiar chord. The lullaby. Soft true, still his. The children listened. His daughter stood in the corner, eyes wet. And for the first time, he wasn't cleaning the room. He he was filling it with music. With memory, with love, the mop leaned quietly against the wall. And Marcus Hale, once invisible, sat in the sky room, no longer the janitor, but the man who turned silence into a song.